Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will, and I'm really fired up today. I've got Keith Paul on the phone with me. Keith and his wife Heather own a Good Egg Dining Group in Oklahoma City, and they started in 2000. So it's been 18 years now of just building a great company and a great business and a great story. And we actually had Keith in our first Restaurant Owners Uncorked book, and I was just talking to him before we started recording here about how it's been 7 years since we did that interview. So it'll be fun to catch up. So Keith, thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, well, looking forward to it. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 7 years. I don't know what all's happened, but I'm sure we'll dig in and see what's been going on with me and everything else for the last 7 years.
Well, you've it's interesting because I guess you've got, if I'm correct on your website, I see you've got 8 different concepts now. How many total locations do y'all have?
We have 12 locations.
Okay, gotcha. So you've really done a good job of diversifying your concepts, which has been really cool to see. I think you had 6 concepts back then. I don't remember how many locations, but it's neat to see what y'all have done there, and you've just built such an admirable business, man. And I was, as I was saying, I was reading back through your chapter from the book, and I bet a lot of this stuff is still the same. But one thing that you said it during that interview, and it struck me then. I highlighted it in my copy of the book, and I've never really forgotten it. Is because it's such a simple concept to me, but it's also, I think, very hard to execute this day in and day out and keep focus on this. Which is, you said, we're not into buying advertisements on TV and radio and all this kind of stuff. We're really focused on what's happening inside our 4 walls. And that is an image that you can easily grasp, but it's something it's just a challenging thing, I think, with so many distractions and so much going around. But you talked about keeping that focus and really having a focus on the culture that you were building there with inside the 4 walls, of the restaurants and the employees, and really taking all of your energy and passion and focus there. I'm going to imagine you still have that same focus today. Would that be true?
Yeah, I would say today we have it. We're probably twice as focused as we were back then. But staying on track has been difficult. It has not been that way, for the past 7 years. We got to a little roll there with opening up restaurants, and everything was going great. And I guess we were opening about 1 a year there for a while, and then all of a sudden, with the fall of 2016, we had 3 leases signed, and hiring people, and all construction delays and all these things that we all deal with, and these things we can't control. And next thing you know, we're having to open up 3 restaurants in 45 days, which it basically almost killed us. It was not fun for us, and we took our eye off the ball. So that was I guess that was probably about 16 months ago, and we vowed then to not open anything new for at least 2 years after that. So then, with that said, I would say the last year has been 12 months has just been solid. Focus on training. What can we do for our people? What are we missing? Start to nurture those relationships from inside, and then and so far it's worked out great. Our turnover never was really high, especially in the management sector. But turnover got a little bit out of hand as far as we were concerned with our servers and some kitchen people. But I think we've gotten back to basics basically, and seen that kind of level out a little bit. But yeah, so this past year has been fantastic. We're starting to see call it the fruits of our labor, with not paying attention to who's opening what and what the competition is doing as much, and because we know what we're doing, and we just need to focus on that.
Well, and that there you go, man. Well, I'm glad that y'all. I'm not surprised either that you were able to kind of regain that focus. It's hard to keep that focus. I'm glad it's good to talk, because for us it's the same thing. It's easy every time to start going, maybe we could do this as well, and then all of a sudden you realize you're doing a lot of things pretty well instead of a few core things like really, really well. And
Yeah.
it's I think it's hard in any business, especially yours. I mean, in the restaurant business, it's tough to kind of keep those blinders on and keep that focus, because there are so many distractions. There's so much going on. There's just so much competition in your space. And but those timeless kind of philosophies and principles always come back to work, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And it's, if it depends who you're benchmarking, not just restaurant groups, but just businesses in general. And we tend to benchmark the non-flashy guys out there and people out there that have just stand the test of time. It might not be the most innovative thing you've ever seen, but it's solid and people like it, and we can throw our creativity and some innovation on just about anything. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you're totally right about the competition. And not only the competition, you're having to deal with that and who's opening up what and where's it going and where's this next guest coming from. It's almost in Oklahoma City, it's created a kind of an oversaturation of restaurants with new developing areas, which are really popular, downtown and things like that. So, and, if you have one successful store, and a lot of, people listening to this are in this boat, their phone's ringing off the wall or their emails blowing up because these real estate developers need tenants. And the retail sector is really struggling right now. So restaurants are where they turn to anchor these developments. And you have to deal with salesmen. Who wants to deal with salesmen all day, right?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, man. Absolutely. Well, so when you talk about benchmarking certain, who are some examples of folks that you admire that, and it may even not even be restaurants, but just business people that you admire that you think get that right, that you kind of look at as benchmark?
We benchmark the Hillstone Group several times a year with different, with the Houston's R&D and Bandera brands. They're not real flashy. They just do most things right, from just the little things. They smile. Their people smile at you when you walk by, and that we focused for 30 days just on smiling. Always be smiling and have some genuine emotion behind it. It sounds really corny, but that goes a long way. And it's not. Yeah. I don't need to hire $100,000 chef to come up with a 25 ingredient, dish. That's not what's bringing our guests back. It's just being treated well. So, I would say, the Hillstone Group is, first and foremost right now.
Gotcha. So y'all are 8 concepts in 12 locations over 18 years. So that's an impressive run, man. Are you what's changed over the years about how you approach the business? And I know that, like, early on, I know that you and Heather were just slamming 80-hour weeks and kind of had to do everything. I know there's less of that now, but how does it change as you become more of a, you're in a large business now, you're having to manage a lot of aspects. Has that been fun to learn to do that? Or are there things you miss about the early days?
Yeah, we have had to learn a ton. We're different hats, we've always run into roadblocks and not been as good as we should have been with delegating. And we've had a tendency to, whenever we expected a certain amount of growth, me especially, I had a tendency to overhire and be a little top heavy. But on a day-to-day basis, we spend, we're in every restaurant every week. Some we spend more time in than others, but we just try to, it's basically, let's just connect with our people as much as we can. And it's a lot of listening, which I'm up for, but it's so much fun to see our people, grow from a dishwasher to a prep cook to a chef de cuisine, and the same thing goes with the front of house. So I don't think we've hired an outside manager or chef in the last 18 months or 2 years. We've just brought everybody up from within. So really focusing on, our minor league, our farm system, call it, and it's just, paid off tremendously.
Well, you're giving people opportunity to grow within the business, which is really awesome. I know it seems like, I've interviewed a lot of folks this podcast, Keith, all over the country, that own restaurants, and man, one thing I hear just a lot of is the challenge of finding, good people that share that mentality and that, or that are willing to learn and, that want to be a part of that. What are you doing to try to find, it sounds like you're good at keeping them. How do you find those people early on, the folks that start out as, like you said, as, cooks or dishwashers or servers or whatever, and grow through your farm league? How do you find those people in the first place?
We've leveraged our social media kind of clout, call it, but with 12 restaurants, and all within about 5 miles of each other, the social media presence is pretty strong. But so we've done that, and getting people in the door it's real spotty. But there are certain rushes, certain times of year where this happens. But what we've done is really focused on our hiring and been really hard at hiring. So we're not wasting money on just we don't get in a position anymore, or we try not to, where we hire the next person that walks in the door. And I know that everyone does that. Even the best companies do that. And so if we used to do it, I think we've improved by 20 or 30%. So I would say we've really focused on interviewing really hard. And
what do you mean interviewing really hard? Like, is that just give me an example?
If that person, if that interviewing and not with the questions as much, and not with, hey, we're going to send you through a 7-person interview process. It always goes through 2 at least. But if that person isn't as good as, first of all, smile. If the person's not welcoming and has a genuine just hospitality, then no, we're not. It could be the best server or the best cook in town, but that's just not going to work for us. We get really picky when, we want someone that comes in that's dressed, that looks presentable, that is clean cut, and when I mean clean cut, I just mean they could have, tattoos everywhere, but it depends what position you're applying for. But if they're genuinely, if they're courteous and if they're nice people, then that definitely gives them a leg up. But just because you're a great server at restaurant ABC down the road does not mean that's probably a strike against you with us, just because we like to, you're probably going to bring some bad habits. And so, it kind of sounds like we're too picky, but I don't think so.
Well, gosh, it's expensive if you're not too picky though, right? I mean, it costs a lot of money to get people in there and train them and then lose them and have to start over, and turnover is expensive. There's a lot of hidden costs in that, I'm sure, as well. So, well, so it sounds like, I would find something like that to be an attractive opportunity if I were somebody in that space. And I've got three fast growing young kids now, and I always think about, one day if they're part of an independent restaurant group, it's just one that's successful and growing. It seems to me there's so many opportunities and there's so much to learn. And I wonder about people that are, there's just so many young folks now that are going to college and getting degrees and have a lot of debt, and it kind of limits your opportunities. And I feel like something like your organization is such a wonderful opportunity for somebody that's willing to work, that wants to serve people, and is willing to hustle, but, has ambition as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even our, I think when you say that, I've been trying to figure out a way to get this to these kids that decide that they, after 2 years of college, it's not for them, or if they don't want to go to college ever. We have 2 of our general managers at our fast casual burger concept. I mean, they're, making 35, 40 upwards a year, and at 22, 23 years old. So I didn't come close to that when I got us, when I went through 4 years of college, and then I was everybody was back then was just happy to get a job, and I don't remember it paying even maybe in the 20s. So even with inflation, you're probably 25, 26. So I think that's a great opportunity for some younger people, but finding those people and really getting the word out there without sounding, desperate that you needed people that bad it's tough sometimes. So, we just focus on let's do things right. Let's treat people good, and that's what's hopefully the word gets out.
Yeah, the word of mouth. Well, I mean, you've got that's exactly right. You've got a real clear core focus, and word of mouth is priceless for stuff like that. But when you take care of people and you treat them well and give them good opportunities, that word does spread, man, for sure. Do you? So let me ask you this: do you have folks that grow in your organization and take on more and more responsibility and love what they do, and then come to you one day and say, "Man, it's been awesome, but I've always wanted my own place, and now I'm going to go start my own thing." And does that happen? And if it does, do you have? I mean, I imagine you have mixed emotions, but do you, are you supportive of that process and help them through that?
Yeah. We've had 4 or 5 that have followed that exact path, and we just kind of, we help them where we can. We don't come up with a lot of warnings. Hey, SOS, this is what's going to happen to you, but we encourage them to do that, and there's 1 or 2 that have become really successful at what they do, and they've have 1, 2, and 3 units now with some people that used to work for us. So yeah, we're definitely supportive, and then we continue to talk after they get open, and so they have ideas for us and we have ideas for them. So but it's some have realized it's just being a GM or running a restaurant for a group is a totally different deal than having your own place. Mm-hmm. A lot of people forget the infrastructure that it takes to create and to maintain specs on recipes and to maintain training documents and how important those are until you don't have them. But yeah, we're very supportive, and you're right. It is a mixed emotion thing because those people are your best people sometimes. You're like, I don't want you to leave. What's it gonna take? And they're like, this is what I want to do. And so we wish them well. That's cool. Well, it's probably a good sense of pride sometimes when like there's ones that have done really well. I mean, they learn from you and Heather and your group there. So right, it's probably neat to see. And so there's to a degree a rising tide lifts all boats thing with good restaurants and a good growing community. Although, as you said, I mean, it sounds like Oklahoma City's grown a lot, but you've got a heck of a lot of restaurants there now, huh? Yeah, there are a ton of restaurants, and I forget the number, but there's just so many choices. I mean, I think our last restaurant we opened or one of the newest ones is our Mexican concept, and just within a 2-mile radius, there was over 12 months, there was over $20 million in revenue that's opened up within a mile radius of that restaurant. I know, and every time I say that, I go, "What am I even doing in this business?" I mean, that's crazy. And no one has those kind of people moving into an area to. It's supporting the restaurants. It's just a lot harder to make money than it was 10 years ago or 7 years ago, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank goodness for a good economy, at least for now. So that's probably doesn't hurt. Well, cool, man. So what else has been going on? What are you focused on? What do you spend most of your time doing these days? I would say I'm just trying to spend more time in the restaurants and try not to get stuck in the office with some mundane tasks. I know Heather's spending most of her time on rewriting our front of house training material, and the back of house, that was last year, and the back of house is this year. So it'll take a good year to get everything in place, and so hopefully we'll be ready to if we decide to open up something new that's great, I guess. It's not what we're here for, though. We know we're not trying to be the largest restaurant company in Oklahoma City or even in our neighborhood. So You know, just having some fun and finding some other things to be. The creative side is always fun for us, you know, designing new places or menu items. We just got done with the menu change, and I think it was one of our best ones in the past 2 years. So it's just fun to see all that happen. So we're having a lot of fun with it. You know, opening new restaurants it just hurts. It's not as fun sometimes as it should be, especially when you do 3 and 45 days. It's more fun just to spend time in the restaurants and see everybody having a great time.
Yeah, man, I hear you. Yeah, so you got some time to just. I'm glad y'all weathered that. It's good to have time to regain or retain that focus, and sounds like I know you've got your hands full. But man, I just really admire your style, your philosophies, the way you run the business, you and Heather, and your story is awesome, man. 18 years, and it's a really I tip my hat to the business that y'all built, and man, you've been a long time customer too. So I thank you. I appreciate it, man. We love.
Thank you, Will. Yeah.
Just love serving places like y'all, man. I mean, I never get tired of talking to owners who do things right, and like y'all, man, it's inspiring for us. We try to run our business kind of the same way, which is, you know, we want the product to be consistent and good and fast and reliable, and we want to take great care of the customers and just be a part of it every day. So we learn a lot from y'all.
Well, I appreciate it, Will, and it's good to talk with you. It's been way too long, so you need to make it up here to Oklahoma City and, you know, spend some time, take you to a basketball game or something.
Come see the Thunder, man. I know, man.
Yeah. All fun stuff.
All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate it. I'll let you go. Keith, thank you so much. And anytime you need anything, you know where I'm at.
I'll do it. Talk to you soon, Will. Thank you.
See you. All right, bye.